Crash Bandicoot N Sane Trilogy, the game that arguably started a new wave of remakes and remasters in the gaming industry. Now, this game is playable on the Series X and the PlayStation 5, but which one is better? Let's talk about it.
Whoa!
What's up guys, Canadian Guy here, and back with a brand new kind of video. This channel has been known for its coverage of Spyro the Dragon and Crash Bandicoot, in which we got 4 games in the previous generation as resounding comebacks for both franchises. Overall, they all did great critically and were massive successes. But now that we are in a new generation, which one of the new consoles is better for each game? Now, I was able to get my hands on both a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series X, which was a difficult task. So I've been spending the past week testing each and every Crash and Spyro game that was released on the previous generation to find out which console comes out on top in the new generation for these titles. Today, we're going over Crash Bandicoot N Sane Trilogy. Now, before I begin, I want to make sure that you know that I did everything in my power to be able to get the best image quality possible from these games. I installed the games on the internal SSD, and I used an Elgato 60S Plus capture card with a 4K monitor. I'll throw affiliate links in the description below if you want to grab these products. I also want to mention that to my knowledge, neither version has had a patch to optimize the game on day one. So if a patch does come out to fix any issues that I have mentioned, I will make sure to make a follow-up video. So let's get into it. First and foremost, especially for today's video, these consoles ran the game mostly like a dream. So in order to figure out which one is objectively better, we literally have to get down to the nitty-gritty. We are going to be splitting hairs here. However, the overall ultimate factor should be which platform you prefer overall, and which controller you think works better for you. So, first things first, I'm going to play a minute long of gameplay showing you both consoles in action so that you can get a taste of what the game is like. You can look in the top left corner as to which console is being played on. Okay, now that you got that footage, let's start from the beginning. Like, literally, at the home menu. When we boot the game up, the PlayStation 5 actually gets the game started faster than Xbox, by about 2.5 seconds. But when we get into the game and dive into levels, even though the PS5 won with over 2 seconds on the boot up, Xbox takes the lead by about 1.5 seconds for each level. It is odd that PlayStation was going on and on about how amazing their new SSD was going to be. And don't get me wrong, the SSDs in both machines are quite impressive. But overall, Xbox was faster to get into each level consistently by just over a second, which means that after 2 levels, Xbox would have recouped the lost time on the boot up. So the winner for the loading screens is the Xbox Series X. Now, graphically, this is when things get weird. Some of you might have already noticed with the comparison, but there seems to be a contrast issue between both consoles. The PlayStation looks a bit more saturated with deeper blacks and more color pops, while the Xbox version is a bit less contrasty and has a bit of a washed out look. you can see the example in game here as I switch between both versions. I tried to calibrate my color range on my Xbox and PlayStation to make it as even as possible, but Xbox's just stays washed out. Now of course, you could adjust your monitor and compensate for the color, but then you have to switch it back if you like the way that your other sources of media looked on your TV or monitor before. This was really odd to me as to why I couldn't fix it. Now, if we zoom into different details, we actually find that the Xbox Series X has a slight, ever so slight advantage over the PlayStation 5. We can see that texture and details are ever slightly sharper on the Xbox side. If you focus on the shadows and their lines, you can see that PlayStation's areas either doesn't have shadows or they're kind of fuzzy. You can also see the shadow and texture of the box being a bit more clear on the Xbox side of things. However, in motion, these details are really hard to see. So between the micro improved shadows and textures, but a slightly washed out image versus a more saturated image that is not as clear by the tiniest amount, which again, you can't see in motion, to me, this is a tie. I prefer PlayStation's look a bit more because I think the colors are better, but that's my personal taste and it's not as objective. The final test is the frame rate. Sadly, the game is locked to 30 frames, though, like I said, a patch could come out in the future to optimize the game more for next gen and enable 60 frames. Remember, we are basing this off of day one backwards compatibility. That's directly out of the box. The PlayStation 5 plays the game smooth as silk in terms of frame rate. Well, as smooth as 30 frames can get you. There is absolutely no drop frames in sight. The Xbox, however, though it is the more powerful console on paper, we do see frame dips of about 3 frames here and there. Just to make sure I wasn't going crazy, I had a few others look at the comparison footage as well, and they all resoundingly agreed that Xbox's was a bit more choppy. To me, this is a real shame. I know this is day one, but with consoles as powerful as the Xbox Series X, choppy frame rate should not be a thing. So the winner of the frame rate is PlayStation 5. So which console objectively to me is better specifically for Crash Bandicoot N Sane Trilogy? Again, we are splitting hairs here. They both handled the game overall well. One did not outperform the other so much that it would cause diehard fans to buy an entire console over the other based on this performance. But my personal overall winner is the PlayStation 5. Though the Xbox loaded levels a second and a half faster and had minute but slightly better textures and shadows, the PlayStation version has more color. But the killing blow to me is the frame rate. When you are playing in 30 frames, any frame drop can be felt, and having frame drops on a console that rivals with decent computers today that can run the PC port of N Sane Trilogy at 60 frames just feels bad, man. Not to mention, when it comes to platformers, smooth frame rate is important, hence why Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, was 60 frames. The overall winner for Crash Bandicoot N Sane Trilogy is the PlayStation 5. Tune in and subscribe as I will be tackling the Spyro Reignited Trilogy in the next video. Thank you so much to all those who not only support the channel, but myself and my family. Because of your contributions, I'm able to do this full time. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider clicking the join button or becoming a Patreon with the link in the description. I also live stream every Thursday and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on by and say hi. Again, thank you to everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video and or live stream.